My third largest holding in my investment portfolio is Palantir, behind Tesla in first place and Vusa, an S&P 500 tracker, which is my second largest holding. Being a holder of Palantir for this past year has been absolutely crazy. Now, it's not been quite as up and down as Tesla's been, but it's still been really, really mad. And actually, it's been quite a lot of going up. I first started purchasing Palantir back in November 2021, but it was March this year that I got more serious about the position, done more research, built more conviction, and then started buying even more stock. So I've seen it from about $7.70 per share, which now feels a lifetime ago, but it actually wasn't all that long ago. And I've been buying it regularly on its way up, and I will continue to do so. And actually, it may even become my second largest position at some point soon. But September specifically is becoming a very important month for Palantir and Palantir investors. And there's a few things in particular that are coming up for this stock that could be huge catalysts and could be absolutely crucial in determining the future of Palantir as a business, but also its stock price as well. It feels as though they are currently at somewhat of a breaking point. They are sowing their seeds for future reward. So I wanted to make you super clear and super aware of just what is possibly coming up for this company. Because if you're sitting there and you're not really well researched, you don't really follow it too much, and you're wondering whether you should just wait for it to drop back down to, let's say, $9 a share, you should know about these things so that you can actually decide whether you believe that is going to happen or whether you should just pull the trigger now and invest. Now, when I say catalysts for the stock and that these things could affect stock price, I'm not necessarily talking about one of these things happening and then the stock price shooting up by 10% on that very day, although that could happen. It's more long term. Maybe on the days and the weeks following these particular catalysts falling into place, the stock of Palantir actually falls. Maybe it falls by 5% and then 8%, whatever. But the point is that these things, if they all align and they go well, could make Palantir a way stronger and way more valuable business in the future. The intrinsic value of the company that you are buying a little piece of every time you invest into the stock becomes more valuable. And that is the point. That's what you should really focus on and care about as a long-term investor. Not really the day-to-day movements, although this can be fun to watch. That's not what really matters. What truly matters is that the business is going to be intrinsically more valuable and worth more in the future than it is today. And that's where research and conviction comes in. And we make that decision not only based on what the company have already achieved, are working on, are doing now, but also on upcoming things. Now, I've seen time and time again where a volatile growth stock, take Tesla for example, announces something really, really exciting, and all the retail investors are absolutely buzzed because they know that this makes the company way more valuable than it previously was before that thing was announced. But yet the stock of that business that we see on the screen in front of us drops. It doesn't really make any sense in the short term, but eventually the stock price will catch up with the intrinsic value of the company. And you've got to have a really strong stomach and really strong hands to hold and actually carry on buying during those times. Now let's jump in to some catalysts that are coming up, things that are aligned that we are expecting to happen in September, if not maybe the beginning of October, that could really elevate and accelerate not only the intrinsic value of the business, which actually is way more important, but also the stock price. And whether that happens short term or long term, nobody knows. The first one is, of course, the S&P 500 inclusion. This is absolutely massive, and we will know this once the fourth quarter earnings are released. So one criteria to actually be eligible for the company to be included in the S&P 500 is that there needs to be 4 consecutive quarters of GAAP profitability. Palantir are currently sitting at 3, and they need their 4th, which hopefully, fingers crossed, if the stars align, will come in November. I believe it's November the 6th that the Q4 earnings are expected. If they show GAAP profitability, it doesn't mean that they are instantly entered into the S&P 500. It could actually take a few quarters after that for them to show up in the S&P 500. But the point is, they will officially become eligible. Fantastic. So they get listed on the biggest stock index in the world. So what? why is that important? Why are these retail investors like myself and other people that you may watch getting really pumped about this? Well, firstly, it's just a really significant achievement for any company. When you hear about what the S&P 500 is, you probably have heard the words, it's the 500 or so largest US companies. That is a big deal. That means a lot in the global macroeconomic economy. It will help increase global visibility and it will give Palantir more credibility. It sort of serves as a stamp of recognition, and this will help to attract more investors, especially those institutional investors. So institutional ownership will go up and institutional money will come in. Institutional owners, by the way, if you didn't know, are things like pension funds, mutual funds, investment funds, insurance companies. Basically, they manage large amounts of money on behalf of their clients and their shareholders. Think Vanguard, BlackRock, Legal & General. Those are all institutional investors. And these often have the requirements that actually for them to invest and buy a particular company's stock, it must feature in the S&P 500. And actually just the next earnings in general is somewhat of a catalyst, because we know that that often does have short-term effect on a stock. But thinking more long-term, if a company is performing really, really well every single quarter at their earnings, this is really reassuring and great for the investors. And that of course means more people want to buy in, and we know what happens when the demand goes up and the supply remains the same. The stock price also goes up. The next one is the almighty NHS contract, which is actually due to be announced on the 28th of September. Now it's the 22nd of September at current time of filming. So this one is getting super close. It felt like it was going to be a lifetime until we found out, but it's really, really happening. It's coming very soon. Now there is a potential that they could delay the announcement if they've not reached a final decision, but this contract is a really big deal. I mean, its financial benefit to Palantir is a big deal for starters because it's $6 million. So Palantir have been working with the NHS for a while on different contracts that they've already had, basically as a way to trial them and see how useful they are. Now, all the evidence that I found suggests that Palantir are really helping the NHS and they've been super useful, but there is a hell of a lot of skepticism in the UK about allowing a company like Palantir, a US company, into our national health service. Now, I think that the NHS really does need an overhaul. It really needs some help because it's a little bit of a mess at the moment. And I do believe that Palantir could absolutely be a game changer for the NHS. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see whether the UK pick Palantir or they go with a different partner. I know people that work in the NHS GP surgeries, which are just doctor surgeries, and in the hospitals, and it does sound like there really is room for improvement here. There is still huge amounts of paperwork being used. Doctors, nurses, receptionists, physically, manually completing paperwork and utilizing paperwork. And when you are running a whole country's healthcare system, national healthcare system, there's got to be more automated and efficient ways of going about this. Also, I understand that stock inventories are actually sometimes manually checked, and then stock that is getting low is manually reordered. Now, of course, this wastes a lot of time, but also it means that it's open to human error. What if that person that has that role and responsibility is not able to do that on the day they need to because all their other tasks have become too much of a priority? This means you potentially get into a situation where the GP surgery or the hospital doesn't have the equipment that they actually need, which then of course causes knock-on annoyances to the patients and potential delays. So having a system that automatically does this would be game changing. And also if they had a system that automatically is able to do capacity checks, which local hospital has the most beds available, which hospital makes most sense for this person to go for a blood test if they're only available on Wednesday mornings, whatever it may be. Probably really simple and rubbish examples here, but you get the idea. An automated system could completely revolutionize the NHS. Now, anyone that works in the NHS, let me know if you know about Palantir. Let me know if you think that there are any real areas of improvement that I'm perhaps missing here. I guess the point is that right now we have a lot of issue with referral delays, system delays, appointment delays, people being completely missed in the system and having to physically ring up to ask where their appointment referral letter is. And it can just be a bit of a mess. But also, the NHS is a wonderful service we have. Let's not forget that. Next, we have the Titan program, which you may have not actually heard a lot about. So the Titan program stands for Tactical Intelligence Targeting Access Node, and it's a US Army program to develop a next generation ground intelligence station that is enabled by artificial intelligence and machine learning. It basically wants a way to provide frontline forces with real-time situational awareness and decision support. Now, Palantir was one of 2 companies that back in June 2022 were awarded a 14-month contract to basically come up with a prototype. And then one of these companies moving forward will actually get the long-term contract. So 14 months from June 22 brings us to August 23. But there always can be delays, and we're now in September. So we are very much expecting by this 4th quarter to hear which company the Army have actually decided to go for in terms of a long-term contract. And they will be incorporating feedback from soldiers actually testing out the protocols that were produced. If Palantir are successful in winning this Titan program, it would be a major win for the company. And it could open up big amounts of money, which is obviously great for growing a business over time. Maybe even more importantly, it would help Palantir get access to major players in the US government. And it would be these key relationships that could potentially open up many more opportunities in the future. This could lead to future contracts. We have also just had AIP Con Part 2. AIP Con Part 1 was really positive. I've spoken about it in many previous videos, so I won't spend too long. But AIP Con is basically a chance for current AIP, so artificial intelligence platform that Palantir offer, the customers that are using that, the real businesses that are actually out there using that in their companies, to come and talk about the real life application and benefits that they've seen from AIP. So it's kind of a way for potential future customers to hear how good AIP is, rather than just taking Palantir's word for it. You know, sit back and listen to what these companies that are using it are actually saying. So some key takeaways from AIP Con 2. I mean, much the same as AIP Con 1 in terms of we heard lots of positive things about this piece of software, but I guess the point here is that AIP is in strong demand. In such strong demand that Palantir are actually struggling to keep up with that demand. So we are seeing customer growth. Now, one thing that is really rattling some cages here, especially rattling some analysts' cages, Wall Street analysts, is that as of right now, and this might seem crazy if you're not currently aware of this, but as of right now, Palantir are not charging their customers for AIP. They are giving it away for free. So you might question their pricing model here and their monetization strategy. Like, what are they doing? What they're trying to do here is to give it away to businesses for free right now. Let those customers have it, use it, see the value, and really integrate it into their businesses. They have the idea that once they figured out a pricing strategy for AIP, they will be able to turn that on, and then they will see exponential revenue growth, because these customers that have been using it for free have integrated it so deeply into their business and are getting such value that there will be no possible way that they will not want to pay whatever price for this piece of software moving forward. And like I said, a lot of Wall Street analysts do not like this. They want the numbers in front of them. They want to be able to say that AIP is bringing in this amount of revenue each and every month. And right now, it's actually not even in Palantir's money-making strategy. So it's throwing them off a little bit. And in fact, a Morgan Stanley analyst recently downgraded Palantir, citing lack of monetization strategy for AIP. So he noted that the valuation multiple for Palantir expanded by more than 180% over the past 8 months due to its pivot to emphasize AIP, but yet it's not actually making any money from this. Now, you will be in one of two camps. You will either think that the lack of monetization is a real issue, like what are they doing? Or you will see the more long-term strategy that Palantir are trying to play here, and perhaps you're actually looking to hold this stock for many years, so you don't really mind, and you do see the potential for them to switch this on in the future and it go absolutely crazy. Lastly, I want to emphasize another reason that I'm very bullish on Palantir, and that is their TAM. their total addressable market. And again, I've spoken about this before, but it's absolutely crucial. It really can't be understated. AIP and Palantir in general can help all sectors. They are not restricted to just helping the financial sector or the healthcare sector. They can pretty much adapt and work with any business out there and help adapt to that business's particular requirements. That makes their total addressable market kind of endless. And that gets really crazy when you start to think about that long term. And also, it's not just becoming the fact that Palantir can help and enhance different businesses, it's actually becoming a necessity for that business to thrive and do well to keep Palantir in their business, working with their business. Take this. Just last week, Babcock announced that they would partner with Palantir to utilize AIP to transform, model, and build data-driven solutions and strengthen its digital defense capabilities across all areas of their business, from submarines to warships and from army equipment and training through to supply chains. Babcock, in case you didn't know, is a British defense company, and their CEO said this: "As the defense landscape becomes increasingly digital in nature, our data challenges are also growing in complexity and volume." Now, this isn't just happening to the defense industry. This is happening to all industries out there. We know that the world is becoming more digital. We have way more online data than we've ever had before, and it is growing very quickly. Organizations and companies are very much struggling to organize and maintain large amounts of data, and not only to just organize it, but to utilize it to its fullest capabilities and making it as automated and as efficient as they possibly can. They need a method. They need a solution, and Palantir can help them. So then you have to think, what other companies, what other softwares are out there that can achieve this and actually help them keep up with competition? If one of their biggest competitions is using Palantir, are they going to fall behind? Is there another company that they can go to get help? What are other potential solutions? Because it's becoming more of a necessity rather than an option. It's these companies that have a real moat and are a necessity for their customers that truly stick around and grow over time. None of this video is financial advice. Make your own investment decisions. But also, if you've got any spare time, give this video a like, share it to someone that invests into Palantir, and follow me over on X, where I post every single day. And if that's not enough, consider joining my Patreon, where you'll get access to a Discord where me and other like-minded people speak about Palantir, Tesla, and other investments and stocks every single day. Hope to see some of you guys over there soon. Thank you so much for watching this one, and I'll see you in another one very shortly.